What is up, guys? Zane from Forward Progress Madden. Today we are going to talk about a new coverage that I have started running lately out of the $326. First, I want to say shout outs to NY Kia. I actually hit him up and I had to ask him what the name of this coverage was because I thought I was just over adjusting out of the cover four, but I knew there had to be some sort of real life application that mimicked something that a team has done somewhere. And what Kia told me is that this is kind of similar to what Nick Saban calls and what Bill Belichick call out of the cover four. So we're going to show you this cover four, and what they call it is cover four thumbs coverage. Now, it involves matching of inside receivers and things like that down the seam, and we're not going to exactly match routes because we don't have the ability to match out of this cover four right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to take these slot defenders and put them on deep zones. And what that does is it inverts your cover four. So they're going to be responsible for getting deep down the middle of the field. I highly recommend that you have great zone and great athletic ability from this spot because they're going to be responsible for getting back and picking off posts, picking off seams, things like that. So you want guys with good ball skills at this position. Now what we do with these safeties is we don't need four guys covering those two spots. So we take these safeties and we put them in flats. So what that's going to do is it's going to allow them to buzz outside and take away corner routes. This is actually a really good coverage against corner strike, and we'll go ahead and show you that coming up here in a minute because everybody's running corner strike right now. So what I like to do is I like to run this type of coverage, and you're going to see that it does a pretty good job at getting exotic. And you can see that we're not able to really fit that throw down the seam because of the corner dropping down the middle of the field. So let's go ahead and go into the replay and show you how this coverage baits people into poor reads. This is not a look that players are used to. They see the middle of the field vacated. They think they can fit this throw in, but here's the thing. The seam is bracketed by the inside corner and the outside corner. You're not able to fit this throw to the inside. You're not really able to fit it to the outside. And that's Jordy Nelson going against the third string corner, Eric Rowe. So if you guys imagine what you could do with your ultimate teams, your salary cap teams, if you have depth at the CB position, this could be a really good defense for you because Night Train Lane is going to single-handedly dominate in this type of look. So it takes away the seams. And the other thing that we talked about is how it creates kind of a cut coverage on crossing routes. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about. So we have this corner or this safety right here. He's dropping into the flat. And what he's going to do is he's going to cut off anything coming underneath. So you can see how Shea McClellan actually does a solid job of covering Jared Cook on the shallow cross. McClellan would trade that off to McCourty. So what I could do if I'm really, really worried about that crossing route underneath is instead of a cloud flat, I could put McCourty in a hard flat and Cook would never, ever be open. So we'll go ahead and show that to you right now just before we get into corner strike. We'll actually call corner strike, but I'll just mimic that exact setup. So let me go ahead and go into corner strike because that's where we're going next with this tip. Corner strike. Now, again, we talked about this play right here, PA Dagger. If we were to run this, we could go ahead and, like I said, deep zone your slots and flat your corners. Now, we put him in cloud flats, but I'm worried about Jared Cook, so I'll put him back in a hard flat. Now let's take a look at what this looks like. So we want to hit Jared Cook. He's never there. You've got that safety right there to stop that. He's not going to turn up field on you. So he's going to cut off that route before it can cross underneath and turn up field. And that's kind of what they call a cut coverage, or as Kia said, they call this cover four thumbs, where they can bracket guys and things like that. It's not a full-on cover four thumbs, but that's not the point of this video anyways. So now we're going to talk about corner strike. With our base setup, this play is one of the best equipped plays in the game to defend C routes. And what I'm talking about is not necessarily pick them off, but it just puts a lot of guys in the area of the throw, whereas most zone coverages put nobody in the area of the C route. C routes are really tough to defend this year, and this is one of the best coverages in the game to achieve that goal. So, again, we talk about this. These C routes, normally you expect them to play the flat, but these safeties actually do a really good job at defending these C routes. They don't cheat down on the running back or the flat route like 99% of zone coverages do in this game. Now, I am in the middle of the field, so I do want to show you that there are some rules to this defense. So let's go ahead and place the ball slightly to one side. So we'll go ahead and put it right here. Now that we are near the hash mark, I want to show you a quick thing that is something you need to know about this defense. When I talk about deep zoning the slot corners, if you are near one hash or the other, for some reason the near side corner will drop to the outside. You do not want that. So move him in a step or two and then re-deep zone him, and then you are good to go. So the far side corner in the slot is always going to drop to the right spot. But if you're on one hash or the other, just know that. The thing about this is, even though you have to move this guy, it may tell your opponent that you're trying to blitz. So they may think, oh, this is a blitz, and block somebody. So that can work to your favor as well. Because blitzing off the short side is usually a safer bet than blitzing off the wide side. You know, this is going to give your opponent a false impression. So it's not all bad that you have to move the short side corner in a step. But now let's take a look at the C route on the far side of the field. So we talk about C routes on the far side of the field and how they never get covered. That's one of the big things in Madden this year, is that players run corner strike and they always make sure that they have a C route on the wide side. And typically speaking, you have to manually cover that. But for some reason, this buzz coverage does a better job than most at, or this cloud coverage, sorry, does a better job than most at defending this. So let's go ahead and do this again. Again, you move this guy in a step. This looks like a lot of setups, but it's really not. You can use the quick links. So what I like to do is I like to see if my safety will play the C route. And you can see here he's not really doing the best job, but this coverage has 4 guys in the area to at least try to cause the receiver to jump in the air and have to make a two-man interaction of some sort. Now, what I like to do is, if on the wide side of the field, if you don't want to user it, you can spotlight the guy. That's always a thought as well. It's not the best in the game, but you can try it. So you're going to hit YA, receiver icon, and A to spotlight. Now Cobb is spotlighted. We'll see if this does a better job now. And you can see that, again, he doesn't really defend the C route that well. However, on the short side, we'll look at the short side and see how well it's defended. You don't have to worry about the short side. So take a look. You've got that cloud flat is right there. The C route is never open on the short side of the field, which is great. So that tells us now we can sell out to the C route on the far side. So again, we'll go ahead and call this coverage one more time and kind of round out the video. So reset our play. Again, you move this corner in a hair, and you are good to go. Now, what I like to typically do is I like to either, if you want to, you can user this safety, because that's your low-risk player. He's actually, even though he's deep, he's not really deep. So when the ball's snapped, you just drop down and just hover on it. Now your opponent is in a situation where they have to take the check down on the sideline. That's what I like to do. That's what I recommend you guys do, because it's low risk. If you really want to, you can leave your safety. You can leave your safety in the cloud flat and try to user the linebacker. Now, the risk with that is that if they were to run somebody down the seam, you always have that threat of getting beat over the top if they have a really athletic tight end. Now, that's where you have to use your personnel wisely. Like I said, you want some of your best cover corners in the slot. That's where the most athletic guys go, typically speaking, in the NFL. So hopefully this video opens your eyes to different ways to defend corner strike and gives you guys a nice little idea of running this cover 4 thumbs or cover 4 cut coverage in Madden. It's not something that's programmed into the game, but it's something that you can kind of makeshift your way into running as a defense. And personally speaking, we'll go ahead and take a look at my DVR real quick to show you a couple examples. It's very, very confusing to people. So I've got a lot of game clips dialed up from a game I played last night where my opponent, frankly, had no idea what they were looking at. The other thing to note, not something I talked about, but cover 4 coverage, again, great run defense. So think about that when you're running this. Let's go ahead and take a look at this play right here. We'll go ahead and look at some different clips of me running this. I know this is a long video, but it's kind of scheme based. You can see some of the different rules that I employ when I run this. Here's a great example right here. I run this cover 4 cut coverage, real hybrid. It looks like it's open. It looks like it's open, but you see this, that how that seam route down the middle of the field drops underneath it, and I cut off that crossing route with the safety, and I'm back the other way. That's a great example. Now let's take a look at this call. I've got a lot of examples here. Make sure I called the right thing here. I don't think that's the right video. I apologize. Here it is. This is another great example right here. I just gassed him up with spinner. So again, I try to make all my defenses look very similar. I run this here, and you can see how I give him a look, and there's really nothing there. What looked open ended up being quadruple coverage, and this is a really sticky return right here. I ended up taking that back to the crib. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and we will see you guys tomorrow with another Madden 17 tip. Until tomorrow, this is Zan. Get in the lab, and good luck.